The first notice from the HOA had been irritating, but manageable. I thought perhaps once I provided documentation that Max was an emotional support animal, everything would calm down. I was wrong. Instead of closing the matter, the notice opened the floodgates to a storm of harassment and intimidation that stretched beyond anything I had expected. Within days of submitting my written response and veterinary confirmation, I received a second letter. This one was more aggressive, citing continued non-compliance and warning of potential fines of $100 per day until the nuisance was resolved. The wording was deliberately vague, almost as if they wanted to keep their options open to twist the rules however they saw fit. I knew immediately this wasn't just the HOA acting out of procedure. Karen was behind this. I had lived here long enough to see her pattern. If she didn't like something, every person acted. She found a way to weaponize the rules. Her lawn had to be the greenest, her flowers the brightest, her opinion the loudest. And unfortunately, she had a direct line to several HOA board members who either feared her or were friends with her. The neighbors started whispering too. A couple of them admitted that Karen had complained about Max's barking to them as well, trying to build a coalition of voices to strengthen her case. Most of them shrugged her off, but some avoided me out of discomfort, not wanting to be caught in the crossfire. Karen thrived on division. She didn't want neighbors getting along. She wanted control. One afternoon, as I pulled into my driveway, I noticed Karen standing at the end of her lawn, arms crossed, glaring at me. Max sat calmly in the passenger seat of my car, tail wagging, oblivious to the silent hostility radiating from the woman 3 houses down. She didn't wave, didn't smile, just stared until I walked inside. It wasn't just about my dog anymore. This had turned personal. The HOA board scheduled a compliance hearing at the clubhouse. According to their letter, I was expected to attend, present my case, and be prepared for the board's decision. The language felt like a verdict was already waiting, as if I were on trial for daring to own a golden retriever. In the days leading up to the meeting, I prepared meticulously. I printed out federal and state laws regarding emotional support animals, highlighting the specific clauses that protected my right to keep Max. I gathered letters from neighbors whose children adored him, along with statements from the mailman and even the delivery driver who often left dog biscuits in my mailbox. Everyone who knew Max could attest to his gentle nature. But Karen wasn't sitting idle. She began spreading rumors that Max had bitten someone, though no such incident had ever occurred. She claimed the barking was constant, disturbing the peace at all hours of the night. I knew it wasn't true. Max slept soundly by my bed every evening. Still, rumors have a way of sticking, especially when repeated by someone as persistent as her. The day of the meeting arrived. The clubhouse, normally used for birthday parties and holiday events, was transformed into a courtroom-like setting. A long table at the front held the board members, their papers neatly stacked, while folding chairs were arranged in rows for residents. Karen was already there, seated smugly in the second row, her eyes fixed on me like a hawk watching prey. When my turn came, I laid out my case calmly and clearly. I explained Max's status as an emotional support animal, presented the documentation, and emphasized that the HOA's own bylaws explicitly allowed for support animals regardless of other restrictions. I pointed out that their fines and threats not only lacked legal standing, but could also open the board to lawsuits. Some board members shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. They knew I was right, or at least suspected it. But Karen wasn't about to let them back down gracefully. She stood up, interrupting the proceedings, and launched into a tirade about community standards and quality of life. Her voice rose higher with every sentence, her face flushing red as she painted Max as a menace to the entire neighborhood. The board chair tried to rein her in, but her influence was undeniable. A couple of members nodded along, clearly swayed by her theatrics. For a moment, it seemed like the outcome was already sealed against me. But then something unexpected happened. Another neighbor, a quiet retiree who lived across the street, stood up. He spoke about how Max kept him company during his walks, how the dog was a source of joy for the children, and how Karen's complaints seemed rooted in personal bias rather than fact. His words carried weight because he was respected in the community. Others began murmuring their agreement. Karen's face twisted with fury, but she sat back down, glaring daggers at both me and the neighbor who dared to speak against her. The board, perhaps sensing that they were treading dangerous ground, decided to review the documentation further before making a decision. It was a stall tactic, but it bought me time. Time to dig deeper into their bylaws, time to consult with an attorney if needed, and time to build a stronger case. Walking out of that meeting, I felt a mix of exhaustion and determination. Karen had thrown everything she could at me. Rumors, threats, intimidation. And yet Max was still by my side, tail wagging, as if to remind me that this fight was worth it. The war with Karen and the HOA was far from over. If anything, the meeting had only raised the stakes. Karen wasn't going to stop, and I wasn't going to back down. The next move would be mine, and I intended to make it count. The battle lines had been drawn, the neighborhood divided, and the HOA caught in the middle. In Chapter 3, the real strategy would begin, as I turned the HOA's own rules into the weapon they never saw coming.